Welcome to Football Gameplan's FCS Kickoff, presented by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Mike McCarthy is the producer behind the boards as we preview the 2018 Ohio Valley Conference. Let's dive into some of the key storylines heading into the season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The OVC gets to kick off the FCS season again this year, this time against one of the top programs in the country in North Carolina, A&T. This is a big-time matchup, not because it's just the opening game of the season, but the Aggies are coming off of a 12-0 season and a Black College National Championship, and will be looking to make a statement against one of the FCS powers in the Gamecocks. Now, this game has a chance to be of the same caliber of the Montana-North Dakota State game a few years ago, which was an instant classic, and what a way to kick off the season. Last year, the Austin Peay Governors were the talk of the FCS because of the amazing turnaround job that head coach Will Healy and his staff were able to accomplish with that program. The Governors finished 8-4 last year, breaking a 29-game losing streak in the process. This season, they are out to prove that 2017 wasn't a fluke and they are no one-year wonder. And there is every reason to believe that they are not, considering what they have returning, and now that they have the most important thing that's needed to succeed in football: confidence. Tennessee Tech will have a new head coach this year, but definitely a familiar face in Dwayne Alexander. Now, Alexander was a former Golden Eagle football player back in the late 80s and has coached at Tech on 3 separate occasions as an assistant prior to getting the head coaching job this year. Needless to say that no one knows Tech more than Alexander, and when you have that amount of ownership in a program, it definitely means just a bit more to you, and you'll do whatever it takes to get it to where you want it to be. The players you recruit also notice it as well, and you can see that's already having a positive impact on the talent that they're bringing in, as this 2018 signing class has a ton of talent, including 5 prospects from local Cookeville High School. And I have to go back to Jacksonville State for a second to talk about the sheer dominance they've had over this conference since 2013. The Gamecocks have won 32 straight conference games, which is unheard of, and it speaks volumes to the job that head coach John Gross has done since he got there in 2014. It not only maintaining the status quo, but raising it to another level. It seems like every year Jacksonville State loses at least 9 key contributors on both sides of the ball, to where you say to yourself, man, I don't know how they're going to overcome those losses this year. Yet, here we are. This is a tremendous football program from top to bottom. As we get ready to kick off the start of summer workouts and fall camp, we will give you a look around the conference at some of the conference's best, and we'll start by unveiling our all-conference team, beginning with the offensive side of the ball. Taking a look at the offensive squad on our preseason All-Ohio Valley Conference team, and running back Marquise Terry of Southeast Missouri State was outstanding last year for the Red Hawks, rushing for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. And speaking of rushing talent, quarterback Bryant Horn finished second on the team in rushing, in addition to stepping right in as the leader and helping the Gamecocks to a 10-2 record and a conference title in his first year as a starter. Tennessee State's wide receiver Stephen Newball was able to build on a fantastic freshman year with a sensational sophomore campaign. The 5'11", 170-pound wideout from Carroll City, Florida, hauled in 34 receptions for 627 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaging 18.4 yards a reception. He capped off the year in an impressive fashion with a 5-reception, 153-yard effort against Southeast Missouri State. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, and I absolutely love the linebackers on this list. Tennessee Tech's Derek Moore totaled 95 tackles last year, 9.5 TFLs, and 3.5 sacks. Austin Peay's Gunnar Shalato and Southeast Missouri State's Zach Hall are tremendous talents as well. But keep an eye on Eastern Kentucky's Aaron Patrick, who was stellar in 2016 and an all-conference player before having his season cut short last year due to injury. Even in just those 3 games of 2017, he was able to record 9 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, and also a forced fumble. And finally, taking a look at the specialists with Cade Sinnett of Jacksonville State, LJ Scott, the return specialist of Eastern Kentucky, and Nick Badoni of Tennessee Tech, who averaged an impressive 40.1 yards a punt. Now let's take a team-by-team look around the Ohio Valley Conference, and we'll start with the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Head coach John Gross has a great thing going with this program. Despite the losses of NFL talent, the Gamecocks still have a good formula for success this season, and it'll be directly tied to what they do along both sides of the line of scrimmage. Because of that, we know they will be able to run the football and also stop the run. If they can make strides in the passing game with Bryant Horn this season, maybe they can get to Frisco, Texas. Optimism and confidence is at an all-time high at Austin Peay, and rightfully so. The Governors are coming off of a storybook 2017 season, and what makes things possible again in 2018 is the fact that most of last year's key contributors are returning. That's the beauty of playing a lot of young players. They'll take their lumps together, they'll grow together, and now become an experienced group as a result. Defensively, if they can continue the upwards trend of last year into this season, then they'll be excellent. They'll be one of the better running teams, in my opinion, in the OVC. I think the team that folks need to keep an eye on this year will be the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. They're a lot like Austin Peay, quite honestly. Defensively, they'll pick up right where they left off to close the season last year. The Colonels did a great job of tightening up inside the red zone the last 5 games of the season. There is good skill positional talent returning, and they should have a solid tandem in the backfield. The question moving forward will be at the quarterback position and who will win the job. If that position becomes stabilized, they can get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2014. Tennessee State is always on the cusp of something special. It's just about finding the consistency from week to week. Head coach Rod Reed has done a great job of building the talent base on this squad and may have found a stable quarterback in Michael Hughes, who has excellent placement on his throws at all levels of the field. We've known TSU to be strong on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that'll be the case once again this season. The Tigers secondary, led by cornerback DeJour Nesbitt, can match up against any receiving core in the conference. They open up the season in the John Merritt Classic against a big-time opponent in a key game in the FCS against Bethune-Cookman. Last year, many thought the UT Martin Skyhawks would be the sleeper team in the OVC, when quite honestly, it could actually be this season. Despite some of the losses in the secondary, I think the Skyhawks will be really good defensively. They boast an impressive group of linebackers in Garrett Wall, James Gillian, and Kevin Prather. Sophomore quarterback Dresser Wynn started to blossom toward the end of the season and is going to be aided by a strong stable of backs. The only question offensively, in my opinion, is along the offensive line. They'll be counting on some transfers to come in and help bridge the gap. So look for a lot more balance this year coming from UT Martin, which should definitely show itself in the win-loss column. For Eastern Illinois, everything revolves around the quarterback battle. They'll have to settle in on a guy, but when they do, there's more than enough talent to work with. I still think sophomore Scotty Gilkey Jr. should be the guy and will make some big-time strides in this game this year after going through the ups and downs of a freshman season. Where they really have to get better in 2018 is in the running game. The Panthers averaged 3.2 yards a carry last season, and that won't cut it this year. A better running game will put them in more favorable down and distance situations, and they'll see improvement in their third down numbers as a result. Defensively, like the theme with most teams in this conference, I believe they'll be good, especially on the back end. How good can this team be as a whole really falls on the offense getting better. The Southeast Missouri State Redhawks were way more competitive than last year's 3-8 record indicated. Poor special teams play could be the culprit, so could a passing game that really didn't help complement a solid run game. All things can be true, so the mission for 2018 is to find consistency at quarterback and get better in the kicking game. Defensively, I'm not too worried about the losses, as head coach Tom Matukowicz does a great job of keeping the talent flowing into that program, especially at the second level. One of the strengths of the team is along the offensive line, which should help break in a new quarterback and make that transition a lot easier. I think we'll see this team be much closer to 500 ball than what we saw last year. The Murray State Racers hope that their offensive line and the leadership of senior quarterback Trulo Bentley will help spearhead the turnaround this season. They've brought in a lot of JUCO transfers to help ensure that the turnaround definitely happens. So we'll see how that influx of JUCO talent helps them hit the ground running offensively. Now, defensively, I'm a big fan of Kenny Wooten and what he brings to the table from a pressure standpoint. The secondary will still be solid in my opinion. The Racers have talent on the back end to match up across the board. I think Murray State will be better than last year, but still may be a year away from making a serious charge up the rankings. New head coach Dwayne Alexander has nowhere to go but up with his Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. Last year's 1-10 squad was youth-driven, and it'll be up to Coach Alexander to leverage that gained experience into W's. Now, defense will give Tech a shot in each and every game, but it will be the offense that'll have to capitalize on those added opportunities with the ball. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out at quarterback for the Golden Eagles, but whether or not it's Luke Ward or Adam Browner, at least they'll have the luxury of having a talented tailback in Andrew Goldsmith to take some of the pressure off the passing game. So that's a wrap from Football Game Plan's FCS Kickoff. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the FCS Opening Drive podcast on iTunes and also on SoundCloud, where Dave Hashagen and myself dive deeper into the world of the FCS. And don't forget to subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network on YouTube, where you can find all of our FCS video content at youtube.com/footballgameplan.